Okay. I guess we are live. I'm not sure. Okay. Hello, namaskar and adab. Welcome to my first ever YouTube live. A hearty welcome to everyone here. So, I'm gonna be taking my time and talking. This is, as I said, my first ever YouTube video. I am a bit nervous, as you can see. I'm not even sure if this is on. Like, I genuinely have no idea. I might just be like, lose all this later. Okay, so why are we here? I feel like I've cornered myself into doing this because I recently moved to a new country and I've been going through an identity crisis of some sort, and now that I'm gonna be a whole new person, I thought might as well be someone who voices their opinion, which I've not done up until now. So I wanted a space where I could share all this, and here we are. So I will be going through, I have some notes for myself. I'm a better writer than this, at least for now. So I'm gonna be going through it, and let's see what happens. Oh god. So the topic that I've chosen for today, I'm mostly gonna be watching a YouTube video and reacting to it. And the reason why I chose that is because it's something that's close to my heart. It's about making a decision if you should have children or not. I've been faced with that question far too many times. And yeah. Sometimes it's family members, sometimes people do it jokingly, sometimes it's your gynecologist telling you just have kids and you won't feel the period pain again. But then again, it's not just about making just one decision that, oh, now we have a child. It has to be more than that. That's why people are making these drastic changes in their life, just deciding not to have a child. It is kind of unheard of. Like, all of the generations, as far as I know there was, before the baby boom, there was not as many children. I don't have the data, but yeah, there must be some reasons behind it, and I have my own opinions, which I will be talking about. I did write those down because, again, first video and all, it also makes me feel safe that I have things to talk about. So the video that we'll be watching is, there's a YouTube channel called Childfree, and they have a series called Middle Ground. And I've never seen the video. The video is about being child-free or having children. Let me read out the title for you. Do you regret not having kids? Parents versus child-free, middle ground. I do want to give them credit because they make very interesting content. I've seen many of their videos. Not this one, but they have fun formats that people can just like talk in, which is good. And I guess we're doing this. There's no stopping me now. I have to do this. Okay, so I've seen people have their faces down here, but I'm gonna keep it up here because I do need subtitles. English is not my first language, as you can guess very easily. So I'm gonna need subtitles. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think I can make it any bigger. Okay. I'm learning. No, wrong thing. Okay. Better. Oh, but now you cannot see the person's face. No, I go to this and no. Okay. I am not supposed to cover their thing, their watermark. I guess we won't see one person's face. Okay. Oh, why am I nervous? I'm just talking. I do that every day.
The framework for having children was marriage, and that's gone.
The framework only works if everybody actually lives that. And the truth is, that's not true.
Parenting is the ultimate sign of maturity and responsibility.
Hold on, let me pause this for a second because I am trying to figure this out. Okay, and I did also want to stop because I find this question very interesting. Parenting is the ultimate sign of maturity and responsibility because, yes, it can be. Let's say, let's take an example of someone who we say, oh, now I'm mature enough. Let's say me. I'm going to use myself as this example. I'm saying, okay, now I'm mature and responsible enough to take care of a child because I have proof that I can, I guess, take care of like this dog, or I know how to handle other people's emotions without making them feel bad about themselves. I can help them navigate their own life. I have wise, sage wisdom and whatnot, and I want to impart it on other people. So this is a very strong argument, and it can be. But then again, this is a decision that is very, very subjective to people. It's gonna differ. It's gonna be different from you to someone else, from me to my best friend or people in my family. It's different for everyone. So why we are talking about making an informed decision is because everyone is put into a unique situation. We need to learn the tools to make and be informed. It cannot just be as simple as I want one. Like, wanting things should not be a reason to do things, because there are so many things I want to do but I don't do them because they're just not right. Like, I'm not saying having children and not having children, it's, again, to each their own, but well, I guess you can't read the question. It says parenting is the ultimate sign of maturity and responsibility. And let's see what happens. I am new to this format as well. I've seen the videos where one person is of one point of view and they're surrounded with people who don't share the same opinion. So I'm new to this format as well. let's see what happens. I'm also not gonna go through all of it because it's 55 minutes long, 56. I can skim through it. Let's see. Okay.
I hesitated to come forward on this one because the term ultimately kind of has a lot of power to it. I think there are other ways that people show maturity, but when I think of what maturity is, I think that maturity is fundamentally selflessness, right? The thinking about others before yourself. And I do believe that one of the primary ways that a person can show concern for somebody else other than themselves is when they bring a child into the world.
You know, and I totally agree with you. I think ultimate is...
Shouldn't that be a basic thing for everyone, like regardless of you're going to be a parent or not? Don't you have a moral obligation to be just like, I'm not saying give people your limbs and all, but that's just how it should be.
Not the word we want, but I think it is about maturity. And I think part of maturity is caring for other people. And one of the things about having kids that's so incredible is they have so much to teach us.
How many kids have you got?
I have 3.
You have 3 kids, and I assume, I have a terrible thing to say.
She's saying, like, I don't disagree with what she said, that kids can teach you a lot, but that is, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I guess I can have kids for my own personal growth, but what about them? What will they be learning from you? It's not just, and I'm not talking this because I just wanna oppose to what she's saying, but shouldn't it be more about what I can give to that little person? Like, maybe having a child will make me a more patient person with other people, because if I just go through someone crying at all times, it will give me, I will learn to be more patient, maybe. But what if I just become an irritated person and that child has to go through my irritation in their entire childhood? Where am I at? Like, can you just take it all in and still not be, the worst one?
What's so incredible is they have so much to teach us.
How many kids have you got?
I have 3.
You have 3 kids, and I assume, I have a terrible thing to say. Are they all grown?
3 grown kids, my best friends.
I have 8 kids. My wife and I got married 15 years ago. We've had 8 kids together. And there's certainly a lot of room for personal growth and having a lot of children, because there's a lot of opportunities to care for somebody else. Again, like I said, more than I'm concerned for myself.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
If you bring children in the world just to bring children in the world and not think about the consequences, that you have to take care of this human being for more than 18 years. It's an entire lifetime, and your entire lifetime, the rest of your lifetime. So a lot of people just are not prepared for that. They're just 21-year-olds that don't know what they're doing, but they're having kids just because society or their family has told them that they should.
Now, do you think that is primary?
Well, I like what he's saying. Let's go back. I need to read this before I say. Yeah, they were talking about it's not just 18 years, it's more than that. Yeah, for yourself, like as a parent, it's 18, 21. Like I'm old enough and I still rely on my parents for emotional, financial, no matter, a lot of the support. And so I agree that it's a longer than just 18, but it's also not just about your own life. What about the kid? Like, after you die, your decision is gonna affect someone else. And how is that fair? Like, there's an argument to be made that just don't have any kids, and that is a very solid argument. There are a couple videos where they explain it far better than I can about antinatalism. I find their logic very sound, not for everyone, but yeah, it's not just about how long you're going to be responsible for them. You're gonna create something that is going to be responsible for themselves for their entire life, and it's your responsibility to make sure that they become someone who is useful to the society. And yeah.
To take care of this human being for more than 18 years. It's an entire lifetime, and your entire lifetime, the rest of your lifetime. So a lot of people just are not prepared for that. They're just 21-year-olds that don't know what they're doing, but they're having kids just because society or their family has told them that they should.
Now, do you think that is primarily accidental children, people who weren't planning on having it, or do you think that's true of everybody?
I think there are some people that, like the kids on the Maury show, you see them, they're like, I'm 14 and I'm gonna have a baby. And it's like,
Most of the people that I know who have children, they were almost never accidental, like, at least from the people that I know. There's another thing that reminds me from this argument that they're making is apparently there's an essay, a 16-page essay. I can find the link and link it when I upload, I guess. But the essay, it talks about how people should get a license to have kids, and I weirdly agree with that. You need to go through some tests, some challenges to be able to do that, to have children, to bring a life into this world. And I know it sounds bad, it does, because to be able to do that, we are gonna have to have like a very different kind of government who is like that involved in people's lives. And I just don't think it's practical. I don't think it's gonna happen. It's just, you just can't do that in a real world. But it is interesting because, again, people are having children because they want to and they can. And that is not a very sound logic. Like, people have asked me, why do I not want children? People don't ask people why do they want to have children. Like, I don't want to talk about anyone else, so I guess I have to talk about me. That people have asked me, why do I not want, like, but there can be many reasons in it. They're deeply personal, like why for me it doesn't work out. It's different for what it's going to be for other people, but if you ask someone that they want kids just because they feel they have this motherly or fatherly love that they want to impart, that's not sound logic again. That is not sound logic. I am someone who has like that motherly nature. Like I like to take care of things. I have that nurturing nature. I do. But does that mean that I can be there 24/7? And it's again won't be fair to the child if you cannot be. You cannot decide who, like, I'm talking about women here, like, after giving birth, going through postpartum depression and losing such a big part of your body, just like your entire physiology changes after giving birth. You're a completely new person. And if you have struggled to lose weight before having children, try losing after. It's like I've seen like it brings on so many other health issues. Like if it that's just the truth. And what if it changes me? What if I'm not that nurturing person anymore? Like I cannot, even if the chances of that are 50-50, then no. Because if okay, for example, if I have to go through a surgery where the chances of me surviving are 50-50, would I go through it? No. Then how can I be responsible for... That's just about me. But then again, you have to question yourself and where do you stand. Because I'm not saying parents would want what's bad for their children, but do you know if you're of solid mind state? Because all crazy people think that they are not crazy. I don't know if I'm crazy or not. Why would I think that? Right? Let's move on.
They're being taught this because they're bought baby dolls and all this kinds of stuff. So that's their aspiration, is to have children instead of becoming a human being, understanding who you are, and then, having children after that.
Just because you have children, it doesn't mean you're necessarily mature. I run into people all the time. I'm 26, so I run into people in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s who literally should have never had children. All it takes is for somebody to be born, and depending on how they grow up, it's gonna make you or break you.
So how old were you when you had her, and did you feel like, what was that?
Like what she said, that they just shouldn't have had any kids. It is true. Like you see people, like I know people, not necessarily just of like my generation, like or from previous, like they're not of sound mind, and even if they are, maybe they're not emotionally mature enough. And what happens to a toddler when they grow up around someone who's emotionally unstable is you can see what's happening in the world. We are the generation who grew up like that. If you didn't, good for you. But that's just true. And we're going through like these epidemics of loneliness and depression, and it's on the rise and never seen before and stuff like that. But why? Have you questioned why? What changed? A lot. But then again, you just need to make a child feel safe, loved, and not blame them for just like basic fucking thing. I don't know if I can say that. Okay, basic normal things for them to be an emotionally sound person. And if there are so many people who are not emotionally sound, maybe they're doing something wrong.
Make you or break you.
So how old were you when you had her, and did you feel like, what was that kind of turning point when you felt you were ready?
So I was 21 when I had her, and she was a really sweet surprise, but it was a surprise nonetheless. And I honestly, at the time, I wasn't ready to stop being selfish. I was like, oh my gosh, like my youth, that's it. Like I have to do a 180 now because I'm gonna raise a young girl.
How's that selfish? Not want to let go of your youth? Well, would you call it selfish if someone, I don't know, would you talk the same about losing childhood? It is as important to live out your youth, to go through all those necessary changes in life, meet people, shape yourself into who you can become, and it is essential. But if it's a phase of life. It's not selfish if you didn't want to lose it. Even thinking like that, you still did. I am proud of him.
And it was a lot to adjust to, but at the end of the day, nothing makes me happier than being a parent.
But I just want to chime in. As someone who's older than most of the people here, what's fascinating is my generation, it kind of wasn't, there weren't that many options in terms of not having a kid. So like a lot of times it happened by accident. It was just assumed you would get married, and then it was assumed you would have kids. So I had my first one when I was like in my early 20s. And now that I've grown kids, my message to them was, you need to wait till you're closer to 30, because when you're in your 20s, you don't even know the questions to ask in terms of a marriage, let alone having kids.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people that have been damaged from people believing that they should just have children. And then they were born, and sometimes born into poverty. Like, I grew up in poverty. It wasn't fun. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. It wasn't fun.
Okay. Obviously, she knows more about this than I would, but there's this thing like in this world where there's no left or right, just up and down. Does it even? So a person who is born into a middle class family will go to a school which is made for middle class people, will go to a college that has that, and will get a job accordingly. So same goes with any other income bracket. There are more chances of you just ending up in the same bracket as your parents, and if you can come out of it, good for you. It is possible, but it should not be like that for so much struggle for one person, and not as like we do have universal struggles. Everyone goes through heartbreaks, everyone goes through loss. I understand that, but it's just not fair. It's just not fair. So when I'm not, this is not an argument saying that people with not a lot of money should not have kids. Again, informed decisions. Even if, let's go back to the same example of being born into a middle class household. Even if you find yourself in like a scholarship thing or something great happens, you'd have to work harder to fit in. You'd have to work harder to just do anything and still feel like an outsider and still know that you do not belong. And people try to fit in, and that's hard. That's hard. So let's hear what she has to say.
A lot of things happened to me as a child. That wasn't fun. I didn't have an easy life. In order for me to break my own generational curses, it was best if I waited. And that was the most selfless thing I could possibly do, even if I wanted children, which I did.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if we get back to the definition of maturity, right? Because we can be mature if we're holding down a job, if we're being financially responsible, if we're emotionally intelligent, if we're self-aware, if we're kind to others. There's a big list that we can fall under as being mature. And I think that it gets a little complicated when people who don't have kids, I am happily child-free, are said to be irresponsible because it just doesn't fit and it doesn't make sense. Because if you take that theory, someone who decides to have a child who is not ready for one, who's not emotionally ready for it, who's not financially ready, who is just has no idea what they're getting themselves into, then that's calling that person responsible versus someone, let's say, who's in their 30s, has really thought this out, has looked at all their options and has made the decision that this isn't for them. So the theory of one...
There are two things. First, I understand that, excuse me, that women don't have that freedom. They have a time limit to be fertile, and it's not usually possible for you to just live out your entire fertile years and then decide. But then again, with the help of the medical sciences, and there are other ways too. There are plenty children on this planet who need parents. I personally don't know how. Just knowing that for me, again, not shaming anyone else, would never do that. Good for you. If you have kids, I get to play with them without any responsibility there. But for me, just knowing that there are enough children out there, and it's just why not them? They're suffering. They are suffering. And how weird it is that some people have this argument against adoption, that it wouldn't be the same. If you genuinely feel like that it won't be the same, that you cannot love a child regardless if it's yours or not, then maybe you should not be having children at all. Because we all know what happens to the children whose parents are just oh, my child is the best, and everyone else's children can just go dash it. Yeah, if you have that logic against adoption, maybe go through, maybe seek help just a little. It's okay to have different opinions, but see where it is coming from. Why do you have this very internalized need to have your own blood? As the children are children. They're very cute and nice and fun to be around. But then again, why is it? You should know why. You should know.
Being more mature than another doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I like what you said, because I truly feel like being responsible or being mature and having kids are two mutually exclusive aspects, right? I think you can be mature on both sides.
Right.
But definitely, if you take a step back for those who choose not to have kids because, they've done that self-reflection and they realize they're not there, and maybe they just simply don't want it, I think that also takes a lot of maturity. A lot of times, women are just looked at down if they don't have kids, and I think it takes maturity as a woman to be okay, maybe I don't need to adhere to these societal pressures.
Yeah, absolutely.
The amount of times I've been told by gynecologists to just have kids, they don't understand. I'm not just talking about the doctors, I'm also talking about other people. They do look down on women who are just deciding not to have children. Well, first of all, why? Why? It's not your life. You're just judging other people to not want to go through 9 months of discomfort, generally a very painful delivery. Then years and years of sleepless nights, going through different things, in their physiology. And why are you judging them for? And even apart from that, there are so many other reasons why one should not. Who are you to judge? Why? What makes you so superior that you get to decide? How are you different than the other people who are like? Why is your opinion better than other opinions? Why? Well, women have a womb, so they should use it. I also have hands, but I don't keep on slapping people every single time I see someone do something stupid. What do you mean? And also, like, going back to the thing that I said before, like, just because I want to have kids, I want to no. But you get what I mean. I have hands. I can do whatever I want. I can pick up a knife if I want. Do I? No. Why? Brain cells. Use it. See if it's right for you. Do you have enough finances? You're not just gonna have to. It's not just your. So you're gonna have to first downgrade your own lifestyle if you don't have enough finances. You won't be living the same lifestyle because the child will need money. And then even apart from that, if you're a good parent, you're gonna need to save up for first their education, second their later education, third maybe their wedding, and if you can, please save up for your children's down payments. Please. It's not possible for us to do it. It's simply not. What do you mean? Look at the data and then see what you want to say. Do you have that much money? If you do, good enough. Secondly, can you, I don't know, take care of 5 dogs at once? Babies are fragile. If you drop them, they are gone. They're very easy to break. Emotionally, physically. They don't even have like the thing in their neck. They cannot support their own neck. They're so fragile. How will you handle one? Okay, let's say you can. You have, I don't know, agile, you're agile? Is that, I don't know if that's the right word. But you get what I mean. Then what? You have to be sound in so many ways. Like, are you an angry person? I'm an angry person. Imagine me being around. Like, it's just, are you an angry person? Do you have any mental disorders? If you do, consider not having children. Please. If you can even think, if you're like, oh, maybe I'm a narcissist, or if other people have told you that you're a narcissist, do not have children. Think about it once. It's not just about you. The other person is gonna outlive you. There's a higher chance that they'll outlive you. You just created something that will go on for decades and decades and decades and have the potential to not just harm themselves but other people and go through sadness, depression, whatnot, especially in this economy. You don't.
Absolutely, and oftentimes as child-free people, we're told that we lack responsibility, where in fact this can be quite the opposite, because sometimes, for example, I have a mother with Alzheimer's that I care for. So some of us care for our elderly parents, perhaps there's a partner that needs care, we're taking care of nieces and nephews, we're taking care of friends. So there's actually so much responsibility in our lives already that we're choosing not to have kids because the plate is already full with tons of responsibility. So the fact that people still think that there is a lack of responsibility just doesn't add up.
So you have
Lack of responsibility. It is lack of responsibility from other side as well. Like again, if you've not made informed decision. It is lack of responsibility, and it is the complete opposite of what they're saying. Because as a woman, realistically, if you have a kid, you basically have 2 to 3 jobs. Like, I'm lucky enough to not be in a marriage that is very gender role heavy. But any other woman, they'd be going to their jobs, their actual jobs that gives them money. And then you'd be taking care of the house and the child. All 3 of them, like, they're different jobs, they're multiple jobs. How are you? And even without that, there's enough in the world to go through. There's so much, like, you cannot call people who are not having kids irresponsible. It should be the opposite. They're considering what impact it has, what impact it can have on not just the child's life, but the environment and at large. The more children we have, worse it is for the children who exist in this environment. Like, don't we have enough people?
Have both kind of this idea of waiting and this idea of people having kids too young. And I think that both of those are dangerous generalities, because just because a kid is young does not mean that they're not ready to have a child. You said you had your child. It was a surprise, but you do not feel like you were ill-equipped. You did not express that you were ill-equipped. Me and my wife totally intentionally had our first child pretty quickly after being married at 22. Right? We were ready. And so I agree that a person needs to be ready. But it's not like ready as 31 or ready as 43.
Oh, no.
A person can be ready at 21.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the question is, well, what are you waiting for? Well, if I'm waiting for all of my ducks to be in a row so that I've got the right amount of money and I've got the right job and I've got my house in Beverly Hills, and you're never going to be ready. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. I think there's just a...
If that is the list of things, if that's like a checklist that people have, again, it's not going to happen. But then again, you don't need to have a certain standard. It's again subjective, isn't it, Popper? Yes, it is. It depends. It's different for people. It's different for everyone. I've said this so many times now. Informed decisions. Again, if you think that it's never going to happen, then again, ask yourself why. Why do you have those standards? Why do they exist in the first place? What can you replace them with? You need to have at least some standard. And being ready, and they're talking about age. What age? There's no age limit to this. I understand that, but I would highly encourage to wait until 25, frontal lobe, and yeah, that develops, and then maybe make a decision. Yeah. Before that, anything. Right? Don't ask me what I did before I was 25.
Touch on what you just said. I think that's a common misconception. Like this idea that people are not having children or waiting to have children simply for financial reasons. Like, in my case, I was sexually assaulted as a child. I went through a lot of very traumatic experiences, the death of my father as a child. And I think me waiting to have children was literally so I don't pass that trauma on to a next generation. And also, like, as a Black woman, I just didn't want to be a baby mama. I don't want to be anyone's baby mama. I don't want to be a baby mama. I don't want to be a baby mama. I don't want to be a baby mama. Yeah. So, and that's a stigma that Black women not exclusively go through, but I feel like we are criticized heavily for it. Like, single motherhood is not respected, especially for Black women.
You painted this picture as if the child was something.
I don't have much experience with that. But yeah, I can see where she's coming from. Like, having trauma and having that be passed on. And especially now, all the research and the information we have about generational traumas now, we need to also understand how does it get passed on. There are resources that you can look at to understand how it works. And there's for sure, like, let's see, for example, like, my family, my grandparents went through the partition, India, Pakistan, and they carry that. They do carry that. So when we talk about all this, I have no idea how to explain it. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's in my head. It could be. But whenever my grandma talks about it, I feel it in my bones. Like, I do not react to any other historical event in the way I do it. And I was like, oh, because I am so emotionally attached to my grandma that I can just feel her pain. But I genuinely feel it's more than that. Like, you get goosebumps and your bones hurt. Like, I cannot explain how it feels. Like, is that generational? I don't know. But you have to resolve your traumas first before you have a child. And I believe that is what she's saying. And I completely agree. And I think I've said this before. If you're an angry person, learn how to manage that first. If you have any other thing, any other mental, anything, if you have depression, learn how to live with that properly, learn how to manage that. If you have anxiety, learn how to manage that. You have to manage yourself first, because you're going to have to manage yourself through crises, because it's just true. It's going to feel like that. I've seen, I have nieces and nephews, and I've seen them grow up, and how much time and effort and energy that went into just making sure that they don't disappear due to anything. It is too much. You have to learn how to just be yourself, but better. You have to keep on working on yourself as well, so your child has the parents that they deserve.
Thing that you were going to do by yourself. That was the expectation, is right? You have these people telling you just have your baby by yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, I would say you would never have a baby by yourself. And I don't mean that as a stigma against single moms, but I think a child is fundamentally a thing that two partners share together. And so if I was waiting on anything, I'd be waiting on that partnership whereby the two of us can support each other in this endeavor of having a child. Because a child is a massive responsibility for one person.
I think that we're misconstruing the word.
See, if people are thinking like that, I need a partner who's supportive, I know, I want someone who understands how hard it's going to be, and I finally have that person, that person is on the same page, and just that. Good for you, good for your children, man. Like, I wish more people had that.
Waiting with the word desire, because for one, and I'm speaking for myself, I am not waiting to be ready, and I was never waiting to be ready. There was a lack of desire from day one. So if there's a lack of desire, you're just sorting through your feelings about what this means for you.
I had no desire to be married and no desire to have children. This is not some thing that I carried with myself ever since my childhood, or I've been, writing in dream books or whatever. I really had no interest in a relationship with anybody. And then I met my wife. And it was from my relationship with my wife, mm-hmm. whereby I desired to have a long-term committed relationship with her. I desired to express that long-term committed relationship in an intimate way, and from that we had children. So, my encouragement that I give to people that I'm talking to who, don't have that desire is, great, fantastic, don't have that desire. When the time comes and the person's there, the desire will come too.
So that is assuming that the desire will come true. Just because it happened for him does not mean it's gonna happen for everyone. That's just true. Like how the other person said, for herself, she knew there was no desire. And I resonate with that. I knew no matter who will be my partner, I just knew. It's not just about all the psychological and financial. These are all the things that you can change, but there are so many things I carry in, that's just for me, completely just for me. Like the genetics. Like, I don't think I have anything that's worthy to be passed on. I don't have a lineage. I don't come from a royal family. I guess this bloodline ties with me. But that would be wrong. My sister has kids, so it doesn't. But yeah, it would have been a cool thing to say. So again, he's assuming that will come. What if it doesn't? Why are you expecting for other people to behave the same way you did? Like, maybe it never will.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that. That's not the case with a lot of people. I'm going to be 50 years old soon, and I have zero regrets. And every year, I am more and more grateful for my choice. I spent 10 years trying to figure out if I wasn't going to have kids. But in hindsight, it wasn't that I didn't know, it was that I knew, but everybody around me was telling me that I was making the biggest mistake of my life, that I was being selfish, that I was a terrible person, that I only cared about myself. So it just became so confusing to me.
I agree with you, I'm with you, but I did have a similar experience. I've lived 1,000 lives. I was a dominatrix when I was younger. I was homeless. I needed money and just got into domination. When I say I lived, I've lived. And then I found my person, like I found my partner in life, and I got married, and then everything shifted a little bit for me. They brought something that I've never really felt before I met them, which is like that unconditional love, that that grounding aspect of like walking through life with someone. It was the first time I ever even considered, could I be a mother?
As I've grown and dated a lot of guys and had a lot of relationships since that divorce, I find that the most incredible unconditional love in my life is from my grown kids and their partners.
Child-free people.
There's some things to be said. You can hope that your kids will love you unconditionally, but that, again, is not a given. So if you're having kids because you want to feel, solely because you want to feel loved, and you need someone to depend on you emotionally and physically, wrong reason. It's okay, like it's a good thing that if your kids love you, you cannot expect them to love you. Like, what are you gonna do? Beat them into loving you? Not gonna help. So, I see what she's saying. Yes, I love my parents unconditionally. I do. But they did not expect that from me. They never expected that from me. And I think that helped. So when I say think about your own reasons, make informed decisions, what I mean is that cannot be the sole reason. No, that should not be the sole reason. Okay. So before we get into, we are not gonna get into this anymore. Let me cancel this thing. So I go here. I go to this, and I go this. Okay. there's a pretty interesting video. If you're into philosophy and all, there's a pretty interesting video by, I don't know the guy's name, but his channel is called Unsolicited Advice. Okay, so that is when I first heard the word antinatalism, and it's just a very simple thing. So I got, again, this is pulled from the credits to him. There are other videos as well about antinatalism. If you're interested, you can go look it up. It's not too hard. But it's there's something that I wrote down. So the argument is that, okay, so when you have a child, there's a potential for them to have like a good life or a bad life. You don't know what it's going to be. So again, 50-50. It's again, I am not the best person to be explaining this, because he would explain it far better than me. But there's something that it made me think of. I'm gonna use an example. So, let's say you could not go out to party. Is that a bad thing? No. It's okay if you missed out on a little fun. You stayed home, did nothing. Good enough. What if you were to go out and get hurt? Maybe, let's say there are riots out there and you knew you would get hurt. That is a bad thing. So, again, if staying in is the equivalent of not being born, so if being outside could have been fun, if you missed out on fun, that's okay. But if there's a possibility that there's a riot, which it is it okay? Who knows? Everyone needs to make up their own mind about that. There's only 2 pieces of literature that I have found. I can link them both wherever. I have no idea where I'm supposed to link things. I'm gonna need to learn all that. Well, yeah, there's one of them is an essay and one of them is a book. I have not read either, but if this interests you and if you're someone who reads, check it out. I've heard good things. Okay, I think I'm gonna go. Thank you for being here. If you like it, tune in again and again and again. I had fun. I did not think it would be this fun, but it was. So thank you so much. I will see you guys very soon. I'll try to figure out a schedule, and as soon as I know, I will let everyone know. But because I do want to know what you guys think. Like, I genuinely do, because I myself as a writer, I am a screenwriter, and I'm a screenwriter because I'm interested in stories. So if you have any anecdotes, if you have anything, I'd like to